I'm just unpacking a locomotive that's been over for a service at Lyndon. It's about to go on its first test run since being serviced. And bring it out, you'll see that it's Lyme Regis. It's a rebuilt West Country class locomotive. Pop it down there. And here we've got the matching tender. The original Lyme Regis, when it was built, would have looked like this. This is the Southern Railways West Country class, designed by Oliver Bulleid. And as you can see, it's got a totally different look to the locomotive here. But this is what they were originally designed to look like. So this was the Bulleid West Country air smoothed locomotive. On nationalisation, the locomotive changed the colour scheme. So you can see this is British Railways green, which came in the 1950s, this particular colour scheme. And you can see if I bring the tender up, it's got the crest that appeared around about 1956 for British Railways. One of the issues with these locos was the maintenance, and although Bulleid's design for the valve gear was quite revolutionary at the time for a steam locomotive, it proved in service to be something that caused maintenance issues as well as problems with the oil bath that the chain driven valve gear ran in, which could spring leaks and cause it to soak into the cladding that was between the air smooth casing in the boiler, which would then pick up residual fragments of dust and grit from the track, and then if there was a spark it would catch fire. So these locos, whilst they looked absolutely superb, they had superb boilers, they steamed well, they got plenty of power, had certain issues attached to them, and British Railways decided they would rebuild these locos. The first of the West Country class locos to be rebuilt from the air smoothed casing design was the Barnstaple, and this is the model that Hornby Dublo produced in 1961. Hornby Dublo also produced a 3-rail version, which is the Dorchester. They kept the boiler, they did away with the air smooth casing, they did away with the chain driven valve gear arrangement and replaced it with the more common Walschaerts valve gear. They kept the wheels, the Firth brown wheels with the scallops and the holes drilled through to lighten the weight. And this was what British Railways thought was a more easy to maintain and more reliable locomotive than the original air smooth design. Look over at the Wrenn model. Apart from the colour scheme, the locomotive is identical. There's a few features that Wrenn incorporated on their models, which Hornby Dublo didn't use. And if you look closely, you'll see that the bogie and the pony truck wheels have got the nickel silver tyres, and it's the same on the tender wheels. If you look and just zoom in, you can see the nickel silver on the tyres of the tender wheels. So there we have it. What started out as a West Country air smooth locomotive was then rebuilt like this by British Railways, replicated by the Hornby Dublo model made in 1961, and then continued by the Wrenn Railway Company in later years and put out in a Southern Railways colour scheme which in reality it never really carried. A little bit of modeller's licence going on there, and I'm sure opinions are divided on whether or not that colour scheme is one that people like or not. What I intend to do now is put Lyme Regis on the test track. It's just come back from a service at the Linden Works, overseen by the Chief Mechanical Engineer, Mr. Richard Spencer, and we'll give it a test run and see how it goes. And here she comes. Coming a bit closer, let's get a good look at it. That's a really nice running loco, look at that. Smooth as silk. Oh, that's gorgeous, that is really smooth, I'm really pleased with that. I think the coaches I'm going to couple up to this are the modern day Hornby Pullmans with lighting, so I've got 3 of those and I'm going to link them up. The detail on these modern coaches is absolutely fantastic. If you look closely you can see there's handrails on the doors, you can see the curtained windows. If I zoom in you can also see the tables covered with a white tablecloth, each with its own individual lamp. And if I tilt here and zoom in, we've got the Pullman Company crest, Niobe, accompanied by a second coach called Sappho, and at the end we've just got a brake van, which is car number 65, third class. So let's give the luxury train set of the year an outing on the layout. So this is my representation of Hornby Dublo's train set of the year as introduced back in November 1961. One thing my set doesn't include, which came with the train sets made, are the headboards. The headboards designated the train as the Bournemouth Bell. There was one for the front of the locomotive and a pair for each of the coaches. Back in 1961, I don't think anyone would have realised that the West Country class Hornby Dublo steam loco was the last major steam loco design that would come out of Hornby Dublo. So, in effect, steam engine development at Hornby Dublo ended in 1961. So it could be argued that steam at Hornby Dublo ended 7 years before it ceased on British railways, which is quite sad when you think about it.